Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 CoD Esports Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite. To my right is Bash_Bo3 Sam, and to our farthest right, your left, is the legendary Rex Shady Nero. And guys, today we got we got a ton to talk about. Holy moly. I mean, CoD Champs, basically, when this comes out, it's like less than 24 hours till the start of CoD Champs with the first matches of the weekend. And we have to talk about challengers this past weekend and a lot of news. And we got some fun games to play today, some trivia for CoD Champs of the past. But before we get into any of it, I've got to ask, guys, what is going on?
Josh, I am feeling like a Sherpa climbing up a mountain right now. Climbing up to that summit, climbing over those rocks until a breeze hits me. I'm falling down the mountain. I'm rolling down, but I hit a tree. But it's a soft tree with lots of leaves.
Thank goodness.
I'm feeling okay. Not a scratch on me. Then I start climbing back up, climbing until I get to the very top. I take my flag and I plant it down, and I'm feeling good.
Wow.
Dang. That's like a whole story.
It is, man. That's what I like to hear. Sam, you planting any flags?
No.
Some proverbial Call of Duty takes though. You're planting that flag.
Yeah. I'm not quite a Sherpa though.
Hey, good to hear, man. All right, so we got a ton to talk about today. Like I said, first of all, of course, you can follow us on Twitter, SalvationsElite, _Bo3, Rex Shady Nero, and you can follow us where podcasts can be found: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and just everywhere you want to listen, baby.
Yeah.
So we appreciate all the support, guys, and we appreciate all the reviews. Of course, 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We read those pretty often.
Often.
So we do appreciate all those, and get back to them. So, my goodness, I'm excited again today because we've got another great opening segment here. We got Midnight back on the podcast supporting the channel. Things you absolutely love to see. And Midnight, they are an esports betting website, and you can level up your esports betting with them and get closer to the games and the communities that you love. And they have customizable odds, and it's really easy to bet. And basically right now they're doing a promotion where if you bet 20, you should get 5 free. And if you do that 5 times, the 5th time you get an extra 10 as well. So
whoa.
It's all over the place, baby. A lot going on there. And we're going to talk about some odds for this weekend real quick. Right here, as you guys are seeing, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you got the odds here for the matches. But we're going to start out with the outright odds, actually, for CoD Champs. So the outright odds means we're just picking the favorites or who would win the event. And if you guys can see there, Atlanta has 2.8 odds. And how this works is basically if you're betting like it's a multiplier. So you multiply what you bet times this number, and that's how much money you would take home.
Yep.
So Atlanta Faze is at 2.8 odds, Dallas 3.35, Mutineers 6.6, Chicago 7, New York 14, Ultra 18.5, LA Optic 22, and kind of moving forward from there. So looking at the odds, is there a team that sticks out to you that like you're like, all right, I kind of like those odds compared to what they're actually what you think their odds are? Like, where are you at with that? What's the team that sticks out, Rex?
Personally, I feel like the Subliners at 14, I still feel like Subliners could definitely make a run in this tournament. If I were to pick like a dark horse, Subliners are going to be that dark horse for me.
Right. Because on here, the Subliners are 2 times less likely to win than the Huntsmen, like 4 times less likely to win than Empire.
Right.
So those are interesting odds.
Otherwise, maybe the Mutineers or Huntsmen as well. I think you could pick one of those teams and be pretty safe.
Yeah, like if you're going for safe, but then also kind of a nice payout, the Huntsmen at 7 and the Mutineers really at 6.6.
Right,
that's phenomenal.
Yeah,
obviously, like their last event showing, they didn't win, but they've proven online they've been a pretty dominant powerhouse. So, but in terms of like a dark horse, like Rex, you're saying Subliners. Do you go the Seattle Surge 36?
I don't know, bro. Dude, I mean, maybe you put like 5 down. You just hope.
Go for it. Right?
You just hope.
I thought for sure you were gonna say the Royal Ravens, and I was about to be like,
Well, yeah. So I've officially given up on the Ravens.
Yes.
Rex has worn me down. Well, really, the Ravens have worn me down. I've put too much hope into them. I'm sorry, Ravens. I thought you were special.
Yeah, I mean, the Rocker have the lowest odds out of any of the teams in the winner side of things.
Yeah.
They have
24
odds, which, I mean, they're playing the Subliners in the first round. If they win that, they go on to play the Huntsmen. I mean, they're an interesting bet just because they have the roster change, and they have lower odds than LA Optic, who are starting in losers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's at least interesting if you want to put like a few bucks down and try your luck with the rocker. But realistically, you're looking at one of the top 5 there, including the Subliners. And based off the odds, I'd probably agree with you, Rex, that the Subliners are probably the most interesting. So let's look at the real quick, just look at the matches. And is there one specifically with the matches in this first round of the first 4 matches this weekend, or I guess not this weekend, this week, Wednesday and Thursday, that kind of, interest you, pique your interest a little bit? Basically, Paris, we got Paris versus Seattle, Optic versus LAG, London, Toronto, and New York, Rocker. Rex, is there one that kind of jumps out to you?
I think honestly, Paris versus Seattle. I mean, I could see Seattle taking Paris.
I was going to say
Seattle has the worst odds in this one. So, I mean, you could definitely make a bet on Seattle winning that, and I would not think you're the stupidest person in the world. Other than that one, if you want to go for an interesting route, it would be Subliners versus Rocker for me.
Yeah.
That is weird that Paris and Surge has such a lower odds.
That does seem
than
weirdly far, weird. That seems like a too big of a gap, I feel like.
For the audio listeners, Paris is at 1.42, and then Seattle's at 2.76. So they're basically
in comparison.
They're saying Surge is twice as likely to lose.
Yeah.
Which is I mean,
it feels closer to a toss up, like the Ultra London Royal Ravens match, which is definitely it's going to be a tough pick.
That's a hard pick.
I mean, that's a 1.85 to a 1.89. So technically, the Ultra are slight favorites.
Definitely. But on that, I probably put my money on Surge. And
I think I agree with you guys there. So I mean, there's a lot of great options there. I highly recommend you guys go check out Midnight. I think there's some money to be made for sure.
I think so.
And you guys can have some fun with that. I think it makes the matches more fun individually if you're throwing picking your favorite for each match, and they're kind of spread out this event, so you can kind of go and throw your money at one of them every night or every day and kind of have your fun.
Yeah, especially when if there's teams that you're not huge fans of, if you just throw $5 in it or $10 in it, it's it just automatically ups the stakes of that game for you. So every game could be super interesting for you. Yeah,
exactly, 100%. So I definitely recommend go trying out Midnight. Use code Salvation, of course. Do appreciate that, supporting the channel and everything else. And let's go, baby. So let's move on to the news of the week. Let's get into it.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
Oh. Oh, baby. All right. So there's a lot of news, obviously, this week. And, a lot to go through before we get into challengers and then going through a bracket. We're actually making a bracket collectively this time around, which will be pretty fun. But news this week, I think we want to start off with maybe a little bit more of the 4v4 rumors as they've kind of continued to develop a little bit here.
Every week.
Kind of 2 more pieces of, I wouldn't say evidence, but, interesting news. The first thing I want to hear you guys' opinion on is, I would imagine this was bait, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. Attach kind of joked about, 4v4, not having to worry about having more people on the map and stuff next year. It was an event to call out with all the people. I mean, it was pretty jokingly. Yeah. I mean, would you imagine it was bait, he just doesn't know?
I feel like Attach has, this year, at least, has turned into kind of a jokester almost.
Just trolling.
With the whole, Yo Tommy thing. He's kind of put on a persona of a jokester. I don't know. But it just seems so much like a bait. I'm not sure how much you can take from this.
Would they actually know at this point,
I don't know.
Yeah, Rex.
But it was pretty funny.
In the podcast with Nadeshot, where they were talking about it, and then Nadeshot said that they had the NDAs they signed and stuff, they couldn't talk about it, which tells me it's that means he knows something. And so the fact that he couldn't say that it's not or whatever, that's kind of what sketches me out a little more. It makes me feel like it is going to go 4v4.
Yeah, so a little bit more context of what Rex was talking about there. Hecz and Nadeshot on Hex's podcast on Eavesdrop.
No free
shoutouts. We're talking about 4v4, and Hecz kind of asked a leading question, and Nadeshot was I mean, can we talk about this? You know? And he was like, and then he said, yeah, because like, you know, some NDAs that were signed in the process of talking about the COD League.
Right.
Whether that was last year, but like, would he still be worried
Or
about
this
NDAs
year.
that he signed
Last
last year?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
or this year. Exactly, Rex. Like, I don't know, man. At least, what were your guys' thoughts when you heard that the first time? Like, I mean, Rex, you kind of said it definitely sparked some interest.
It gave it more legitimacy to me now than it was before. That's all I'll say.
Mhm.
I still think it'll be 5v5, but I'm not completely like against that it's going to be 4v4.
Yeah. If I had to bet, I think Nadeshot was probably being extra cautious too of like just anything related to it.
As
So,
a young business owner.
yeah, like so maybe part of it is just he signed an NDA, whether it was last year, this year, and any information at all. He's probably just like, I'm just not going to risk it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Probably, I would probably lean with that side that he was just being cautious. But what my weirdest thing is this whole time has just been that Hecz is the one leading the charge on all of these like rumors.
I know.
Like he started it.
Yeah, he seems to be so willing to talk about it.
And he's been doubling down that, you know, we're
Mhm.
not told anything. We're not told anything, you know, but like,
Mhm.
why would he be so interested in talking about this?
Yeah.
And like, he has a roster that like doesn't seem like he would really want to cut it down to 4v4. Like,
Yeah, who
why-
does he
why-
cut?
yeah, like you're going to cut Preston. You're going to cut Envoy. You're not
Mhm.
dropping Scump and Formal.
Yeah.
And I would doubt you drop Arceus at this point,
Yeah.
but like, you're going to let Envoy walk.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
Unless he's like purposely stayed out of any talks, so like
And-
he's able to like try to speculate.
Yeah, maybe
you know,
he's
I
just
don't know.
being completely honest.
Yeah,
But like,
I don't know.
where would this rumor have even started in the first place?
I don't know.
Unless he was just starting it himself to have some
Mhm.
fun,
yeah.
which is just weird. So I don't know. We'll keep you guys updated on the 4v4 rumors. I'm not convinced either way at this point. If I had to bet, I would put my money on. If I had to bet on midnight.com, I would put my money on it being 5v5 next year.
I think so too.
But-
I agree.
It's hard to say. All right, moving on. We want to talk about some Rostermania details, kind of like the schedule and the roadmap for what's going to happen. So the COD League kind of finally released their rules for the offseason this year.
Yep.
And how it's going to work out with scheduling and a few changes that they actually made, thanks to probably Doug Sensor Martin and others
Mhm.
for giving their opinion on these things. But basically, we got the roadmap now. So September 13th is kind of when Rostermania can start kicking off, which is
Yeah.
basically 2 weeks after COD Champs.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So we're gonna have 2 weeks of rumors and all those things. That's when contracts can begin to be signed, correct? If I
Yeah.
remember right.
Yeah,
Looking at
so
it.
so September 13th, 2020, 11:59 p.m. the 2020 league year ends. So any 2020 season player contracts that are not extended terminate, and such players become free agents.
Okay.
So
all right.
so probably more likely September 14th if we're being
So
technical.
okay.
Yeah.
1 minute later.
Yes.
September 14th at midnight.
Yeah.
Is when the new year can begin and they can enter into new contracts with teams.
Yep.
And so like that's where you're gonna have to be worrying. But like the thing is, the second COD Champs ends, players are going to be talking.
Yep.
And so hopefully CDL Intel can start sniffing in the right
Mhm.
up the right trees when it comes to like information. But last time around, he said he was really behind on the information, but he was the only one leaking literally anything.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with the timeline for how quickly CDL Intel and others can find information about this type of stuff. But that'll be happening the second COD Champs ends, or the second that teams get eliminated from COD Champs in the previous week. So a lot of potential action in the upcoming few weeks with Rostermania. Specifically, the big news when it comes to like what's changed
Mhm.
is there are now 14-day contracts that players can be signed to a maximum of twice,
Yeah.
Two.
Mhm. Yep.
which is interesting.
Is
I
that
think
twice per player, or is that twice as
It's
an
per player.
organization?
It's twice per player. So like once they've signed 2 14-day contracts, I'll read the full thing here.
Yeah.
Teams
Teams may sign additional players to 14-day contracts. Teams may not sign an individual player to more than 2 14-day contracts during the 21 season.
Mhm.
If a player has signed 2 14-day
There it is.
contracts
Yep.
to a full season player contract, they may only sign to a full player seasons contract for the rest of the season.
So that's going to be like interesting. So you wonder if basically they're going to try to test players out with these 14-day contracts.
I think that's going to be good. It's going to allow teams a little bit more flexibility with roster changes, like in a situation where Optic was trying to sign Hollow and Draza instead of picking them both up at the exact same time
with a full contract.
With a full contract, maybe you would see them picking up one, trying a 14-day contract, or maybe trying them both on 14-day contracts off the start instead of signing season-long substitute contracts. What will really be interesting is how that affects players wanting to sign as subs from the beginning of the season, because they can just be tested on 14-day trials instead of committing to one team from the beginning.
Yep.
Right? You feel like that? Does that sound right?
I believe so.
Which leads
kind of ties into now a player can be a two-way player. A short explanation: this year, only one sub was able to compete in challengers. Correct. Now any sub can compete in. And what's interesting too is that the wording says each player may consent as part of his or her player contract to compete in challengers or other Call of Duty esports competitions. So it's almost like saying they can compete in like local LANs
or Warzone
tournaments, maybe. I don't know what that means, but they're kind of leaving the door open for anything there,
which is good,
which is cool. So, but like basically, what for those who are keeping up with Doug Sensor Martin, he was having a lot of trouble competing in challengers this year. He basically couldn't. He was trying to.
Yeah.
He was told multiple times he can't.
And because I'm pretty confident this year that teams who were two-way players couldn't play on the same teams.
Yeah.
And so that really limited his options, especially early on when he was trying to find spots. And with how New York's contract must have been worded, he must have had to restructure his deal in some way. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, now they're allowing two-way players to compete together on the same Challengers team in any given Challengers match, and you can have teams from different teams or from different CDL teams on one Challengers team now. So there's a lot more flexibility for players who are substitutes. But again, with the 14-day contracts, the question is whether or not good players will even be willing to sign substitute contracts from the beginning or not. Which maybe they will because there's more flexibility with two-way contracts.
Yeah, I feel like they would, but
yeah, like you might, because like in the same thought, you might have someone, let's say like Chino, who may think like his stock isn't good enough to become a starter on per team.
Exotic potentially guys like that.
So maybe he's willing. Okay, I'll sign as a sub, but I'm playing in every tournament, and then also other Call of Duty
and playing in challengers and stuff. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that will incentivize more players to sign as subs to prove themselves
potentially.
So I guess you could take it in two ways.
Yeah, I guess
there.
If there's more flexibility this year, where they're pretty much guaranteed to be able to play challengers without any problems next year, then I guess you sign.
Yeah.
And teams will be excited that maybe probably the smaller teams will be maybe have way better substitute players potentially. Parasite would be definitely inclined to sign with LAG next year because not only does he actually have a chance to move up to the starting roster, but then he has full flexibility to play as a sub all year long.
Challengers and
right.
Yep. So that'd be pretty cool.
So maybe
to see.
we'll see more. How about this? Maybe we see more veteran players sign as subs, but we see because of the because you get the guaranteed pay and then you just play in challengers.
Absolutely.
But then maybe the younger AM guys who still feel like they could get picked up as a starter would be very willing to, because their stock could still significantly rise. Then maybe they're more willing to wait it out and not sign potentially, and work with the 14-day hope of 14-day contracts.
Definitely.
So that's kind of the debate. It's going to be a lot for players to figure out. I think that's going to really affect Rostermania moving in, especially if there's expansion teams, with how that potentially could play out with more substitutes and all of those decisions that those kind of higher up AM players are going to have to make a decision about in the upcoming 2, 3, 4 weeks. So we will definitely be interested to see how that plays out with those guys. And there's a long list of guys that are probably going to be in a tough spot like that too. So we will be on the lookout for more news about that for sure. So moving forward a little bit more real quick. I mean, tomorrow Parasite is going to be revealing the spawn logic.
Yes.
Which is interesting because if he really does know something that somehow the pros haven't figured out yet, then that could be something for champs.
Absolutely.
Or if certain teams haven't figured it out, right? I mean, what are you hoping to see?
I mean, I know that chat is gonna be filled with all these pros because like
They'll be lurking.
Yeah, everyone's gonna be lurking in that, even though like they think they know, but they're like, of course they're gonna go in and try and see it. I even on Parasite's tweet was saying he was doing that. People were commenting like, "You're really doing this right before like the playoffs," and he's like, "I'm not in it. What do I care?" He's not associated with any team. It's like if people want him to associate with their team, then he won't do it. You know. But
definitely
sign me to a contract.
No, I know. Yeah. He's like, hey, this is actually a power move. Like he could be like, I won't do this if you sign me next year.
Yo, New York. Yeah. Yo, Dallas. Yo, Faze.
That'd be crazy. But to your point, Rex, yeah, like we see multiple times where players or coaches have tweeted out, excuse me, you know, like what are these spawns? And they'll like show a clip of the mini map showing spawns.
And the Parasite's right there.
I know. I think it's pretty clear that I think you could say at least more than half the teams in certain situations do not know what's going on.
And yeah, I mean,
apparently Parasite is saying that there has been a consistent spawn logic to this game.
Which, I mean, pros do get that. Like, you know, they just, you know, pros definitely say like, okay, there's definitely like there is a system to the spawns in this game, but it's a stupid system and should not be in any COD in the future. That's kind of like, I think where most people are at. And I think whenever you're playing, you're like, okay, you know where they're generally spawning. Like, all right, yeah, we have control of P2 and we have the back spawns. Well, of course, yeah, they're going to be spawning on this side or, you know, insert map here. But I mean, I'll be there to see if there's something that Parasite's dropping that I don't know.
Because like, I feel like it might be something where like you do know the general, but like there's always that like weird anomaly of like, why is this guy spawning behind us when we pretty much have held everything? And it seems like maybe like where you're looking, like, because like, there's like one reply he had to a minimap tweet from a coach. I can't remember who it was, but he was like, well, your players were looking at this certain area of the map, which then
blocks the spawns.
Which then block the spawns. And it's just like, he might have this like whole.
So maybe there's like certain small things that he teaches the guys that he plays with.
I think so.
And it's like, all right, in this situation, never look.
Don't
right
look.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because of that. You know, maybe there's certain things. Yeah. And those certain small things could maybe help some teams in the CDL, and who knows, maybe that's the difference between them losing 250 to 238 and that it could give them a chance.
That would be super interesting.
You know? So that stream's happening like right after like this podcast will be going live. So be on lookout.
Yes.
Be on lookout. But all right, let's transition into challengers and talk about that a little bit because there's a lot to go through here. I mean, should I play a drop for this?
Let's play the drop.
Let's play a drop. All right. Let's do
drop.
Trash. Garbage.
Oh, good stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All righty, baby. We're talking about who was trash, who was not, who was garbage, who wasn't in Challengers. Obviously, a wild weekend. So Challengers Finals was, if you are unaware, Challengers Finals was this weekend. I mean, the streaming numbers weren't great by any means, but I think it was consistently hovering between like 3 and 10K-ish, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And all weekend long. And the coverage was really, really good.
It was really good.
I mean, all things considered, it was very quality.
Yes.
Very quality for a first inaugural season covering Challengers. I mean, before we talk about any of the teams specifically, I mean, broadcast, pretty happy?
Yeah. I was going to say, just like as a general statement, I knew going into the season, us three, you were kind of talking about like, you know, Challengers needs to have coverage, needs to have good, you know, quality content, needs to have casters. And
yeah, and it was sad at the beginning.
Yeah, it was sad, but I can honestly say the end of the season exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
I didn't think, you know, they'd have this kind of coverage for champs. And so I am very happy with the first season for Challengers. So that's all I was going to say. But in terms of broadcast, I don't know, Rex, did you have any initial thoughts on that?
No, yeah, I agree with you. Like, definitely, like, at least this Challenger champs for me is like they timed it perfectly, right? Like it gives us something to do before like the Pro League playoffs and the champs. So like,
Yes,
it's very interesting
yes.
to see these players and having them be streamed. And they did like pretty good coverage of like keeping track of things for the most part. My only issue was that the stream was like 10 minutes behind the actual bracket. So like, if like I like to go through Twitter and see like, where the brackets are at and things like that. And I go on there and I see like this game's already over and I'm just starting it on screen. I'm like I don't want to know who won. Like it's kind of like I know who won the champs series and I was just starting it. Like it was just that was my only issue.
Yeah, there must have been some sort of system that they had in place where either they wanted to delay in case there was a big time problem, which I mean, with challengers you can always expect problems.
Definitely.
But yeah, like there was legitimately. I mean, you weren't joking. You're not underestimating it. It was definitely like 10, 15 minute delay potentially on like the stream from like when it was actually happening. I mean, yeah, like I said, hop on Twitter. Yo, GG's, Carnage, like lost 3-0, or whatever it was. You're like, bruh, this is in map 1 right now. Like, what?
So unfortunate.
Yeah, so that was tough. I mean, besides that, it was awesome. I completely agree with you. And it was fun. Again, I love seeing the post-game reactions, the interviews with the players and the captains or whatever, whoever ends up doing it. And that was awesome. So inside of the brackets themselves, I mean, again, EU and APAC went to plan for the most part. EU, Team War took it home.
Yep.
Renegades in APAC took it home, although from losers.
Yeah.
From losers. And again, they had won like 4,000 straight tournaments. And so for them to go to losers was crazy in itself.
I know.
That was wild.
And in the NA side, Triumph took home the title.
It's crazy.
Which was crazy. I mean, what are your initial thoughts? Let's start in the NA. Let's start in the NA and talk about EU and APAC in a second. What are your thoughts?
Fellow, Nogafin, Royal, Standy, Diamond Con, all won. They haven't, I don't know how many times they've won, maybe like once or twice. But like their average placing was probably around like 6th or so. Top 6 for the most part, their team. So for them to win it all is like, they never win. They won champs. They won the big one, which I think it's great for these guys. They're all names that we recognize, other than Diamond Con. But we've heard from Untitled Shift that he was an amazing AR this year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they were really on fire at the beginning of the online play because they won Dallas's, then they ended up winning Florida's, and they won the Challengers Cup 3.
Oh wow.
So they were on fire early, and they're in the Challengers Cups, and overall they've been pretty consistent. They've had 2 top 2s, they've had a 3rd place and a 4th place. So they've been in the mix almost all year. They had a few, like a lull there where they were like top 16 twice and a little bit of struggle. But yeah, they finished top 8 at the Toronto Open, and then they come out here and show up big time and win. I mean, Sam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, when we were talking with Untitled Shift, really like the 2 teams were, Faze Academy, UIU, you were thinking maybe Parasite's team, but I had I would have loved to seen Fellow win if he didn't, but it was just cool to see it actually happen. Like I didn't expect it to, and that was really cool. And
yeah, I
was surprised Faze got 4th. I honestly thought they would have, if not 1st, 2nd maybe, but you not saying 4th isn't a bad,
I mean, for them, it's kind of bad.
A little bit, yeah. But like still, top 4. But really, just it was cool how hype it was. Like it was North America. Really, all 3 were just so much fun and so exciting.
Agreed.
I mean, like for the first season for Challengers Champs, that was cool. That was a really cool mix. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with Triumph.
Yeah. I completely agree. They because Triumph was the team that sent Atlanta Faze down to losers, and so they sent Faze down to losers. Faze worked their way back, and then in the winners bracket, Triumph played 5-star, knocked them down, and then Faze lost to Carnage in the losers finals, or I guess technically the losers semis. So yeah, it was just a wild event overall. I mean, do you think was the biggest surprise of the event besides, like, of course, Triumph winning it?
Mm-hmm.
Carnage. Getting second place. Carnage is like this team that like no one really knows who they are, minus like a few names you might hear.
I mean, if you're really into the AM scene, you'll know them. But yeah, no one who just follows competitive COD as like from the pro scene would really know these guys for the most part.
Yeah, and like their highest placing all year, I think, was like 3rd. Is the highest they ever placed, and they only placed it once. And then for the most part, they're placing like 16, 8, and a lot of 6s and a lot of 16.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Then they got second at champs. Like they're like the underdog team. No one saw going that far at all, and they earned it. They beat 5-Star, which was Parasite's team. They beat Academy. They beat teams that they earned their spot for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
That was crazy. When they beat UIU, I was genuinely just shocked. Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and then really UIU getting 7th, 8th, that was very surprising to me.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even say Carnage's roster is Pure, Ryza, Nightmare, Gunshi, and Hunt.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yep. Yeah.
I thought we should throw that in there.
And like, like you're saying, Rex, the only player I really knew going into this was Gunzi, because I think I talked to you guys before too, but like he had some drama with Parasite on a Challengers Cup. But so that was really cool. I mean, they showed up. They may have like turned some heads, right? Like they may have not been on the radar before for potential expansion teams, but they may have done enough here to say, hey, these guys, they made a run. Like, that's incredible for them. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically all of them got their start in Black Ops 4. I know Ryza, like, he had competed a little bit before that, but basically all of them got their starts in BO4, and they looked awesome. I think I refed them early on in Modern Warfare. Like, at least I've definitely refed Ryza and Gunshi before. But
makes sense.
Yeah, that's crazy. It was an awesome run. I completely agree with you. I would have never thought that I think they were 7th in pro points going into the tournament. I mean, obviously a top 7 seed is great, or I guess not technically top 7 seed because of Atlanta Faze and who else?
Wasn't it? Was UAU in there?
Yeah, West Star. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
but overall, like, really, really surprising for sure.
Yeah.
What were you saying after that?
Me, Rex.
You about after Carnage?
Oh, I may have said like in regards to like most surprising, I think UIU's placement of 7th, 8th was probably the most surprising for me.
Disappointing.
Yeah, I expected
they were
them
seeded
to go
number 1.
Yeah, I expected them to be in at least top 3, but I think it just goes to show, some people show up when the big game
they
comes,
were all really disappointed on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, only reasonably. They easily should have been a top 6 team.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, like
well, the thing with UIU is
like
they were so good early on in the season, and then like around like Paris, they just like, I don't know, something happened to them. They just seemed somewhat inconsistent in a way.
I feel like Cells
were
like
so good, and then they just kind of fell off.
Yeah, I feel like Cells is a pretty nasty player. Like, I always see his stats were like pretty good stats wise. But
they were on that hybrid black team at the beginning of the year. Who were so good early. Yeah. So I agree. They were a huge surprise for sure. I mean, it was good to see like D'Lo and Stamino's squad, like with Pentagram, like they were the Orlando Reapers for this event. Finished top 6. I wasn't actually sure how they were gonna finish out going into it, but I was really happy with how they played overall. They're a team that can like really be nice or struggle, and they played pretty well overall. So I was happy with that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to like players that you think, put themselves in a good spot from the NA, like who are a few guys that you felt like, maybe put themselves into a really good spot for the future at this point? I mean, obviously the Triumph guys. I mean, it'll be really fun to see. It'll be fun to see what happens in Rostermania with that squad.
I know.
Well, you can imagine an expansion team is like, maybe I'll just pick up the people who just won all of Challengers.
Yeah,
the whole team.
And especially since 3 of them are established,
pros.
Like legitimate pros.
Yeah,
with Royalty Fellow and Nagafin. So
and then Standy
Oh, yeah, and Standy played great at the tournament. And then you've got Diamond Con, who's obviously nasty this whole year. So
He's your young gun. Like,
exactly.
Young gun is
And
an
they've got-
AR.
And they've already got synergy too, you know, from playing with each other. So it's like, why not put yourself in a great position and just pick up all 5?
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why if you're Atlanta Faze, you gotta be so disappointed because if you win this tournament, like your team of 5 could easily get picked up with an expansion team, but then you don't win it, and now there's a lot of question marks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still think FaZe Academy could get picked up, but you know, it's tough.
Yeah, especially with all the drama at the end of the year, like, you know, it would definitely, I would imagine it would at least worry expansion teams with like Sib and how that went down and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no pros really to like no like veterans to go with that team, so like you feel safe with it. Like just to pick up a whole
Journey would be
roster.
the biggest, the most established player probably on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But other than that, I think Exotic. I thought Exotic looked great. Like even in Black Ops 4, I didn't think he was a bad player in Black Ops 4, but.
And he's been around for so long, and he's been so nice with it.
Yeah, it just surprises me that he didn't actually get a team. But yeah, Exotic was nice. Fire on 5-star also. Everyone kept shouting him out. Was like he was like this kid who came out of nowhere, and everyone just talks about how great he became.
Yeah.
Parasite.
Because he just turned 18 recently.
Yeah, I always say Parasite deserves to be on a team. He is the highest average placing pro. He placed on average like around 4th place. That's just the highest out of anybody
in North America, right?
North America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Out of anybody, out of all the challenge teams, all the teams he was on, he placed the highest out of everybody, which is like astounding. Even higher than all the FaZe Academy roster. And they were together the whole time. So hopefully Parasite gets his props. And then Sib, of course, Gravity, the whole FaZe roster, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Parasite put out a tweet that was like shouting out some of the best players that he played all year long that he thought like were really, really good. And so, I mean, that's got to feel good for those guys to get those shout outs. I mean, that list was Venom. That list was Fire, Standy, Sib, Venom, Jimbo, Cells, Rex, Dave Patey, Jintroid, D-Lo, Gunshi, Rise, Zaptius, Paulex, Noisy, and Diamond Con.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Diamond Con, yeah.
I mean, all of those guys obviously make sense. And then you look, I mean, I want to move on to Europe side.
Absolutely.
I move on to the Europe side. There's a lot of great players there that easily could deserve a spot in rosters. Of course, Team War took home the title. They beat Singularity. I mean, the teams that we've been talking about all year long inside the European scene, back and forth. And War basically had it under control, all things considered. It was a good series, though. Really, really good series.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. Thoughts on the European scene?
I was curious about Mad Cat's team, Connect 5.
Yeah.
And they didn't get a third. So really, I think that's probably where they've been placed. I think is top 4.
Yeah. They've been really consistent.
Which is cool because, again, like I really do like Mad Cat. I think he's a great player and a great person. So like that's cool to see him, you know, being consistently good in the EU scene. But it is just crazy how dominant Team War and Singularity have both been. It's really crazy to think that Singularity, from how explosively dominant they were in the middle of the season, like what really happened? Like did Team War really just become better than them, or was something going on?
I would love to talk to them and ask them like what their thoughts were.
Yeah, because
what changed.
They were dominating the EU scene. They came to North America and dominated the North America scene.
Yeah.
Then they came back and then something happened and Team War started just, you know, besting them. But I honestly think every single player on those two teams have a high chance of being picked up, or like why would you not like seeing the consistency?
If there's a European expansion team for sure. Yeah,
which this kind of ties in. I don't know, and correct me if you guys know, but part of the kind of throwing it back to the Rostermania details for this next season is teams are responsible for any visa work for players, which the league will help with, is what they're saying. So I don't know if
I'd imagine that had to been already somewhat the case.
You would think so. So I don't know if it's a thing where just teams are just not going to be willing to deal with that.
Maybe they help simplify the process, though, potentially. So,
but I really wish there wasn't that barrier for EU players to come and play.
Oh, I know. And with COVID, it puts them in such a tough spot right now.
So that would be the only barrier for Team War and Team Singularity. But otherwise, those like you can't look at those two teams and say that they're not worth playing in the pro league with how consistent they've been. Like they've just it's phenomenal.
Right, and that was pre online, that was post online.
Yeah.
They were really good on LAN and online, and I think all 10 of those guys at least deserve a shot to be in the pro scene. And with the 14-day contracts next year, maybe you see teams give it a go with some of these guys multiple different times. It's very possible.
Definitely.
Yeah, with that 14-day contract thing, like they're probably going to be testing out a lot more of these like rookies that they wouldn't have tested before. Like Afro, I think is a name a lot of us know about if you follow the AM scene a little bit. Everyone's talking about this kid named Afro on Team War. And he hasn't even had like some storied career or anything. He was 64th in Minnesota on LAN, 8th at London, didn't even go to Atlanta, 24th in Paris. Then when he went online and he joined Team War, he just went off.
Insane. Yeah.
And everyone's talking about how amazing he is as a player. So like they might try him out now out on a 14-day contract to see if he can keep it up in a pro league game.
Right. And like going into the offseason and like now bro teams, you know, they'll be scrimming all of these all of the European teams, hopefully in the offseason maybe like get more involved, or maybe these guys during the offseason will try to figure out ways to move to the United States.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you're a European AM right now, you have to move to the US, like, which is crazy. So I will be very interested to see like if any European AM players decide that it's worth actually moving to the US to compete next season to actually give themselves a chance to get picked up. Because if we're in the same situation with COVID, like it's so tough. It's so tough, and you're gonna have to move to the US if you get signed by a team. So and like, would they even try you? They wouldn't even try you out on a contract or even give you a chance to scrim with the pro team if you're not living in the United States, because your connection is just going to be bad. You're going to be playing on 100+ ping, so it's like that's just tough. That's just tough. So that'll be something to watch moving forward into Rostermania and how what the conversation is like with those European elite AMs. But I mean, yeah, there weren't too many other surprises with the European side of things for the most part. I feel like, I mean, it kind of went to plan. Again, you had Team War finish first, Singularity second, Connect 5, which is Madcast team, finished third. Team Moon, which is Moose, Felon, Genesis, Henry, and Keza.
In the past, European scene has not been given their credit, but there's an argument to be made that Team War and Singularity are the best amateur teams in the world. Better than everybody in APAC, better than everybody in NA. There's an argument to be made for that because they've been talked up so much by everybody about how great these two teams are and the way they both showed up on lands when it mattered.
And so, again, Singularity came to
European might be coming into the scene even stronger.
Yeah, Singularity came into NA and dominated, like
for a time.
For a time, obviously, but yeah, you could very well make that statement and not be crazy.
It's just tough. I mean, like transitioning into the to Renegades and APAC, like it just sucks that we didn't get a chance to see all these guys compete against each other on LAN at the end of the year, and it's the first time ever we're not going to be able to actually know who the best AM team in the world is.
Yeah. Right.
And there's legitimate arguments to be made for Renegades, for War, for Singularity, for Triumph, for you know all these teams.
How cool would it have been to have like a eight player bracket with like Renegades, Team War, Singularity, Triumph.
Yeah, it's all
Parasite's team. Yeah, I just
give them a chance and see how it goes. That'd been really, really fun. But obviously, tough stuff. Yeah. But in the APAC scene again, Renegades came out on top. A little bit more of a struggle than normal this year for them, but they came out on top. Chiefs Esports came in second, Throne, Rift Nation in fourth. I mean, the Chiefs Esports team is Nimble, Zapa, Limax Damage, and Restalling. So, you're seeing some of the names from like past Mind Freak and squads and all the other Australian, players. So, thoughts on the APAC team? APAC side of things.
Other than Renegades made a loser's bracket run and had to win the grand finals twice to beat Chiefs, which actually didn't Team War have to do that against Singularity?
They did. So War got knocked out by Singularity.
All right.
And then War came back and beat them twice.
Yeah. So
Which is wild.
Just like, them coming back and winning the grand finals twice is pretty crazy. And Renegades did the same thing in the APAC region. So, they're not bad players. They might be picked up. Like Paris has some Australian players, and Paris may not be the worst team in the league. So, who knows?
That's very nice of you.
Mhm.
But all right, I think that's a pretty good place to end it there. So let's move in to the little game that we got here,
All right.
and then we can move forward to a little bit of the chance prediction and preview with the broadcast. So I've got a little transition here as well. Here we go.
Hello, you play to win the game.
So we are playing a game.
Oh man.
This guy, I gotta shout out Reddit real quick because there was a really, really cool post on Reddit, and it was like the cool, interesting, fun facts about champs and what's been going on in champs. And so I kind of put together a quiz of some of the fun facts and see if you guys can guess the answer to some of these things.
Okay.
To all things considered, Rex did see this, but he just scanned through it, so he may or may not remember the answers. So we'll see. So I'm always gonna ask Sam first, and then we'll go to Rex to make sure that Rex doesn't spoil it. All right, you little spoiled boy.
Let's see if I know.
Alrighty, so Sam.
Oh boy.
I know. Put your champs brain, your champs hat on here, your champs cap. Alrighty, since BO2, which champs winning team didn't have a player that was a previous champs winner?
In champs or one champs?
One.
Holy crap. Okay.
5,
Was it
4, 3, 2, 1. Answer.
Dude, I'm freezing up.
Can you name the game?
Not Ghost, not Advanced Warfare, not Black Ops 3.
It was Advanced
do I
Warfare.
gotta guess? Bruh.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rex. I blew it.
No,
But
there's
I
no
was
way.
gonna say Denial Advanced Warfare.
It was Denial Advanced Warfare.
Because Clayster.
That was Clayster's first win.
He wasn't on BO2. He wasn't on
I
the
was
team,
thinking 'cause-
man.
Okay.
Karma won it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
dang it, dude.
I thought
Okay.
it was gonna be Ghost for a second, but then I realized I think
Karma.
Complexity was Ghost, and that's Karma. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking Clayster with.
Nope. He got dropped from Complexity, man.
I
He
thought
got
he
dropped.
was on, dude.
Yep, it was
I was
Denial,
Advanced
man.
Warfare,
It was,
bro.
it was your game too, dude.
Yeah, I
I
know.
know.
Alrighty, well, there's the first one, Rex. I'm sorry. I'll ask you again before to make sure that I won't cut you off again. All right. Number 2.
Okay.
You're 0 for 1.
Yeah.
How many teams have had multiple COD Champs grand final appearances?
Like orgs.
Yeah, orgs.
How many teams have had multiple grand final appearances?
Mm-hmm. 10 seconds.
Okay.
10. 9.
Just say number.
Yes.
Okay.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
1.
1. It is 1.
really?
It is 1.
I
Yeah.
thought that was 2. I thought Optic had been in the grand
Oh.
finals before.
I forgot to ask Rex.
We're actually just gonna cut off.
I know.
All right. Well,
I was gonna
will
say
not,
2.
I will not
but-
cut you off next time. All right. It was 1. It was only Envy.
No, AG won World War II.
Mhm.
Envy was Black Ops 3. Were they Ghosts versus?
They were ghosts. They've
So-
been in 4.
They've been 4.
Yeah. Only won.
Dang.
IW
Envy.
as well.
IW. Duh. Yeah. Because okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for them.
W.
All right. Who is the only player to lose grand finals and then win it the next year? Rex,
How
you remember
many
this
are
one?
there?
There's only
2.
one.
JCap.
Only one player ever to lose
JCap.
the grand finals, then win it the next year.
Ooh,
No, 'cause
actually,
he
maybe
wasn't-
Apathy. It's Apathy, right?
No, it's not JCap
It's Apathy. It's Apathy.
in the
But he
previous
lost
one.
IW.
Two.
Apathy.
It is Apathy.
Yeah,
Ding,
yeah.
ding, ding. It is Apathy. They lost IW and won in World War II, the
Yes.
miraculous run.
EG,
He's the
man.
only player ever. I thought it was crazy.
That is
The
weird.
only player ever to lose the year before and then win.
Again, man, that
Apathy's
EG
a
roster.
two-time, two-ring
that's
guy.
so
He
weird,
won BO3, lost IW, but made it to the grand finals, and then
Yeah.
won in World War II. Like, that's quite the record.
I mean,
to
the
have, man.
Apathy. I mean, the whole Envy roster is pretty much underrated in COD history because
Absolutely.
everyone was rooting for Optic at the time. Like
Yeah.
the whole COD scene underestimates them.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That team kept wanting to break up too, but they made it consistently to grand finals.
Yeah,
That is weird.
exactly. Who is the only player to have appeared in 4 champs grand finals?
What is it?
JCap.
It's either Apathy or JCap. Because
JCap.
JCap was in Advanced Warfare. He was in Black Ops 3. It's JCap.
It's Rex's favorite player, JCap.
Yes.
All right, back to back, boys. You're on a roll here.
Yes.
Now, this is the tough
Fast,
one.
man.
I will be impressed if you get this one.
Okay.
Who are the only 2 players to have played and coached in a champs grand final?
Wow.
Vicento for E United, and he also played.
Vicento was in the grand finals?
Was he? Wasn't he?
No. What? With who?
I
Was
don't
he?
know. Made me question it now.
Shoot. Play and coach.
Play and coach in a
can't-
COD champs
It
grand
can't be
final.
Rambo because
He's the
Rambo
only
didn't start
person I
coaching
know
until
that's
Empire.
Like a coach that last year, but made it to G grand finals.
Nubsy.
Vicento.
Nubsy
Not
was the coach.
Nubsy.
5, 4, 3, 2,
What the heck?
1. Can we come up-
Crowder. Vicento
Ding,
Crowder.
ding, ding.
Wow. Yeah.
Rex gets Crowder. Rex gets Facento.
Wow. Who is he?
He was on Revenge in Advanced Warfare in the Lost to Denial in Champs Finals.
What? Dude, nice.
And he coached, of course, E United. Crowder, of course, on Denial and coached 100 Thieves. So both coming
Wow,
from the
Rex.
Advanced Warfare champs.
Nice job, Rex.
Alrighty. Only the last question. I think you guys will be able to get this one.
Okay.
Which 2 players have had a gap of 4 years between COD championships?
Clayster. And then
5, 4,
Enable.
3, 2, 1.
I have no
Enable?
idea.
You should have got this one, guys. Come on now.
Formal.
Oh,
I don't-
formal.
No, it's
No.
not.
No, it can't be formal. Scott?
Clay
No, they're on the
in
same
AW
team,
and
bro.
BO4, of course, and Aches in
Eggs.
Ghost in World War II.
Yeah,
Come on,
honestly,
man.
I'll be honest with you. I keep forgetting Eggs was on the EG roster, bro.
I know, man. It's
That's
crazy.
so
But-
strange.
well, there was a really dysfunctional game that I didn't put together well at all and didn't think through one bit and did not tell Rex to not look at this thing before we
We're-
started, but it worked out.
We're gonna have people listening, like screaming, like,
Yeah.
"You are an idiot."
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry.
going to happen.
I'm
But I hope
sorry,
you guys
guys.
enjoyed the little trivia action. If you guys did, you
That
know,
was fun. I
things
can do
to
it.
see. Yeah.
Great game.
Yeah. We'll have to play some more trivia games down the road. So
Yeah.
that was our little game. But I mean, we got to get into these predictions, man.
Yes.
It's time. Let's get right into them. Oh boy.
Great sounding gun right there.
Who's the best in the game? So we're going to go together today, like I said, and
Yeah.
build our bracket together for COD Champs. As you guys know, we're going to be submitting a $100,000 perfect bracket. You know, this is going to be the perfect one.
Splitting that 3 ways evenly.
Exactly. And so what's going to happen here is we're going to go through them and majority's going to rule here.
Oh boy.
Majority's going to rule. People are going to be pissed.
Yeah.
I imagine at certain points here.
But it
And
has
then-
to be a good argument for it.
Yeah,
Well,
of course.
yeah.
Course. And so majority's going to rule at the end of the day. We're going to have to kind of move somewhat quick here.
Yep.
If this podcast not to be 3 hours long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, this could easily take forever. So
Oh yeah.
real quick, let's transition into the bracket here. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Just to let you know, my gut reaction is kind of hard to explain sometimes, so
Oh, good.
I might
We're gonna
not
be
explain.
in a tough spot here.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Great. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah.
I hope you are as well. Let's get into it. So what do you want to start at the top here? You want to start in the winner's bracket or the loser's bracket? Let's start.
Losers.
All right,
Yeah.
let's start. Optic versus LAG.
Optic.
Optic
Let's
trio.
shout out. I as well believe Optic.
I'll just shout it out.
So, I mean, let's give them the 3, then move them on. I
Yeah.
mean, what round count do you want to give this one? I feel like
3-1.
3-1
3-1
makes
is a
sense
good
to
one.
me. Are we going to be in agreement here?
I could
Yeah.
do 3-1.
Okay. I feel good about that as well.
Cool.
I mean, I think we all kind of expect Optic to come out. They feel like the pretty heavy favorite there.
Yep.
I mean,
And they just
Hollow
seem
and Draza,
stronger now.
they've continued to improve. And I'd imagine we're going to talk more about them later. I mean,
And then Slasher 2 on Champs, you know.
yeah, and it's champs. You expect the best players to come out and play. Actually, that was something I wanted to mention real quick about the AMP scene is that I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of the veterans had really, really good events.
Mhm.
And I think that goes to show kind of like the experience inside of the pressure, inside of the heat
Mhm.
of a big tournament like that. And I think that definitely was a factor
Minus aches.
for sure. I mean, yeah, it happens.
Of course.
You do have to practice the game to
You
be
do
good at
have
the
to
game.
practice.
That makes a difference. But all right, let's keep moving on here. At the bottom here, we got Legion versus Surge. And part of why I mentioned that was because I expect the veteran players who have been good throughout their time to dominate.
Surge.
Am I hearing a surge for Surge? Rex?
Rex, come on.
I like
you
Legion.
want a Surge run.
I want a Legion run, to be honest. But
Really?
I
I
do
would
want a
love to
Legion
see
one.
I would love to see a full Surge run here. But
I mean, Rex had a crush on Paris this whole season.
you did have a little crush.
yeah,
it's been
man,
a
I
little
always
crush.
like the underdog to like do well. When they got second
Yeah.
place in London or whatever tournament it was, like, oh, it made me so happy.
I don't know, Rex. You might get outvoted here because I
Yeah.
feel like Seattle's going to take this in a close duel.
It's going to be a 3-2, but it's
Okay,
going to be
what's the
Surge.
map count then?
3-2.
All right,
Yeah.
whatever.
I'll give it 3. I mean, I don't know. I would say 3-1 because I don't want to bank on Surge winning around a Game 5 S&D. If it's going 3-2, then I would pick Paris 3-2.
Maybe we should pick Paris then.
3-1 Surge. Overruled.
3-1 Surge, that's fine.
Let's go, baby. 3-1 Surge. Right here. Right here.
Boom! We just
3-1
fist
Surge.
bumped
We just
Rex.
fist bumped Rex. How
I'm
left
not
out
fist
do you
bumping.
feel?
I don't feel left out at all. I don't agree with any of these opinions.
Oh, shoot.
Alrighty, so let's go out and move on to the winners bracket then
Yeah.
and have some fun here. We got Subliners Rocker up next.
I wonder. Subliners. 3-0.
Alrighty. 3-0.
3-0.
3-1. I got 3-1.
Really? What do you think
Yeah, I
Rocker's
think
going to take
Rocker gonna
there?
get good at least one game mode.
I don't know, man. They haven't looked very good at all. And Subliners
I mean, again,
are looking really good.
it depends on what you think about Exceed and that roster change, of course. I mean, we haven't really talked about it that much here. We talked about the Exceed change a little bit on the previous podcast, but like, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that roster. I mean, they've been hyping themselves up. Brian
Yeah.
Saint's been like, yo, we're nasty.
Well, of course he
They
thinks
always
that.
do that. So we got to go with Subliners 3-1, right?
I mean, yeah, I'll give it 3-1. I'm okay with that. I feel good about that. I mean,
That's true.
what game mode do you think Rocker would be most likely to win? A hard
an
point?
S&D. I feel like they're going to win an S&D, to be
In
honest.
S&D? Because I feel,
Yeah.
I mean, Subliners definitely haven't been great in the S&D category this
Yep.
year. I mean, overall, they've been decent at best.
Yeah. 3-1's good. It's good.
It could be a 3-0, though.
It
There's a
could be.
world where it's a 3-0, and I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not surprising. It's just about what you think about Exceed. I don't think any of us are really that bought in at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But there's more to say there when we go down to the losers bracket and talk about the optic
Yes, sir.
match. But all right, London versus Paris. Where are you at with this?
I mean, London versus Toronto Ultra.
Or
I mean-
that's what I meant. London versus Toronto Ultra. That's what I meant.
Oh, yeah.
I'm personally going with Ultra for this one. 3-2. That's what I like.
Yeah,
I think Kleenex is fire, and I'm not a huge, I'm not on the Ravens hype train so much. And I just think Ultra, they look good in the last tournament. They did use the start glitch, but, that's not the be-all, end-all of everything.
but it could be.
It could be,
That's
but
the
I don't
thing.
think so. I don't think so. So, I mean, who knows? We'll see. But I think Toronto will be the Ravens.
I'll be honest with you. I'm with you there. I think Ultra will beat
Ooh,
Ravens.
Juicy.
Yeah.
I mean, are you going 3-2 as well?
It's got to be a 3-2. Like Ultra will take both S&Ds. Well, maybe I don't know.
I don't know. If
They
Ultra-
could
I
split
don't
the
know.
S&Ds. The Doms, I mean,
Hardpoint.
you have to favor London in the respawns at least a
I was
little
just
bit,
gonna
right?
I just
I
feel
don't
like
know. I don't know.
I think
Like,
Ravens
who's
might have
keeping up
more
with
slaying
Kleenex?
power. I don't know, man. I just know
What?
that Ravens have not been showing up when they need to, and Ultra has been looking pretty decent. So
I mean, depends on what maps they get. Also,
Mhm.
like if it's like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, our Clove, I think Ravens might win that. But I don't know. I think Ultra. I think Kleenex is better than all their players. So
Mhm. yeah, if it's Hackney, it's going to be a 50-point club for Ultra.
Oh, no.
But
All
yeah,
right, I'm willing to go 3-2.
my vote's 3-2.
I'm willing to go 3-2. All right, so let's send Toronto through.
Yep.
Man, that's a tough. It's a tough game.
It's hard,
though. Let's
but,
move
yeah.
down to losers bracket then and start on that Rocker optic match. All right. So I'm interested to see where you guys are at with this one.
My stance is I have no confidence in the Rocker.
Even with Exceed?
Yeah, I just do not have any confidence. And Optic, I trust Slasher.
We've seen the improvement.
I think Optic take this one. It's going to be a 3-1, maybe a 3-2, more likely a 3-1.
Interesting.
Rex?
I mean, personally, I don't know. I like to have hope in the Rocker.
Yeah, the problem is that the hope is just solely based off of a wish. Like, it's literally, like, you can maybe go off a little instinct, but, like, we have no clue how Exceed's going to play with that lineup with God RX out.
Exactly. And then the one tournament Exceed did play in, he did not play well.
No.
I mean, he was playing a role he didn't naturally want to play, though.
Yeah.
Exactly. With, like, no practice coming in either, but I don't know. I can go with Optic. Optic, I would like a 3-2, though, but for Optic.
I think I lean Optic 3-1.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry, Rex. I'm sorry, man. I would love to have faith in the Rocker, but I just don't know. I just don't know if I can buy in at this point without seeing it with my own two eyes. I gotta see it with my own two eyes. But, hey, I'll give him a little shout out. I'd love to see it at least. Yeah. But let's move on. We got London versus Surge. Boy, oh boy.
Man.
I mean, Rex, lead the way.
I'm going London for this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to say London 3-1, to be honest. Could be London 3-2.
Yeah.
But
as much
this could be a 3-0 though.
As much as fun as it would be to see a Surge run, but it's not realistic.
Yeah, I think this is the potential for a 3-0.
Yeah.
But I want to give the benefit of the doubt to the veterans on the Surge that they can scavenge a map or two.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, again, there is some hope there. You can narrate it where, all right, well, the Surge are built with three, established winning veterans, that are going to play their best for champs. They've had no hope basically this whole season. They've finally been practicing hard. They've been actually committed to winning, going to the biggest tournament money-wise of their whole careers.
Yeah.
That's the narrative that you can build there.
Okay, you just convinced me. I think Surge should win.
What?
You that convinced you?
I think Surge could win. Here's the thing. When you think of the London Royal Ravens, all the players on the London Royal Ravens, do you think any of them show any sort of confidence? I have no confidence in those players really individually at this point anymore. Even Wuskins, it's like, even he talks down about himself on Twitter and stuff. I don't think I have total faith in it. I think they're crumbling as a team. So I think Seattle Surge could take it just because their mentality is just
that speech was supposed to be like a like
the voice of public opinion.
Like you ground out like your last remaining hope for Surge. That was not meant to be a turn.
I'm turned, baby. It is Seattle Surge. I think can win it. You guys don't think
I hadn't even got done with my speech yet.
I know.
There's more.
Because I'm sticking with London here.
They've been looking bad, and Seattle Surge on a come up where they literally are throwing caution to win. I think can beat the Ravens, who are such a strict team with how they do things.
The argument, like I said, is that Surge haven't tried in practice for 4 months, and then they've had basically a full month of we are dedicated to trying to win this tournament. So that's the argument that maybe you'll see more improvement than you've ever seen from them. Parasite drops his spawn knowledge, and then suddenly they know how to play hardpoint. And the problem is they know how to play hardpoint. They've never know how to play respawn, and I don't know if that's fixed at this point.
Yeah.
Which is why at the end of the day, maybe you can convince me of a 3-2 for London, but if it's a game 5 S&D, I'm not going to bet on the Surge. No chance.
All right, so if Ravens win, I think 3-1. If Surge win, I think it's 3-2.
What?
That makes no sense.
If the Surge win, it's because they're somehow actually really, really good, and they're going to win 3-1 because of their respawns, and they're going to lose the S&D.
Okay, I'm with you. We can do Surge 3-1. I'm in.
No. No. London's winning.
Surge 3-1.
All right, Sam.
I'm at it.
London 3-1 or London 3-2?
3-2. London
3-2. All right. I'm down. We'll give a little bit more credit to Surge there. We'll give them a 3-2. I mean, they did beat the Legion, who have been competitive recently. So we'll give them a 3-2. We got to go back there. All right. So now we got the next round set up here. We got to go up to winners. We got Huntsmen, Subliners, one of the most anticipated games early on in the tournament here from the average fan. I mean, thoughts? Rex, lead the way.
I want to pick Subliners for this one, to be honest.
Oh, no.
Wow.
I do.
Is this because of your faith in the Subliners or your lack of faith in the Huntsmen?
Subliners have been looking really strong recently. They are not
they
a
looked
team
strong on a 9mm meta.
They're your dark horse team, Subliners.
If you're on a 9mm meta,
is crazy.
I actually am the opposite. I actually have a pretty strong lack of faith in the Subliners. We saw them look great on the 9mm meta for one event. They looked awesome. And they looked awesome because they beat the Huntsmen after on the exact same 4 maps that they'd played them on the previous series where they lost. I think this is a 3-1 Huntsman.
I mean, I can get behind it.
I'm inclined to agree.
3-1 Huntsman.
Yes.
Sam, you on board? 3-1 Huntsman?
I'm on board.
All right, Rex.
Yep.
I think we might outvote you here on the whole Huntsman situation. We're gonna give them a 3-1, sending New York down to the losers bracket. Unfortunately. Oh my word! Can I please press the top? There we go. All right. I mean, Rex, do you have any other counterpoint to make on that before the last hope swing of opinion sway? Is there anything else you can say
Huntsmen
there?
have always been kind of like a question mark for me as a team. Like I just can't place them. Sometimes they look bad to me. Sometimes they look
That's
good.
the argument, is their
runs.
inconsistency.
They're inconsistent. So like Subliners look like when they're strong, they're really strong and will beat the Huntsmen every time if they're playing at their best.
But then you think about this as COD champs. There's the most pressure there's been all year long. You have 4 former COD champions on the Huntsmen. You have Scump and Formal, who have always played their best individual COD at COD champs. You have consistency across the season between that core 4 plus, and then you add in Pristini, who won the first event together. I think you just have to have more faith in the Huntsmen than you do in the Subliner season long, and heading into champs with those 4 guys. I just believe the Huntsmen are set to be successful early against a team like the Subliners.
All right, I'm okay with it. I think Subliners, if Subliners come out strong and they look like I think they could take it. I think they're just a better team if they're playing at their best.
Yeah,
but we can do.
I agree. I mean, Subliners definitely have potential, but I just haven't seen it on a 10mm meta, which is why I'm not willing to predict it. But would I be shocked if it happened? Probably not.
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on. Mutineers, Toronto Ultra in the second round here of winners. Sam, what are your thoughts here?
I'm definitely favoring Mutineers.
I mean, it really comes down to the hype of Toronto and whether or not you buy it.
Exactly.
Right?
Like, like you said, there could be some things that were happening when they won. There's no can't confirm anything.
Can or
But
cannot confirm.
Mutineers online have looked pretty good, so I'm gonna say 3-1 Mutineers.
I'm in the same boat. 3-1 Mutineers.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I mean, is there a world where Toronto's the real deal?
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
are they enough of a real deal to beat the Mutineers at champs?
Questionable.
Yeah.
It's questionable. I mean, they looked really good though in that last tournament.
They
But
did.
Mutineers have been consistently good.
Yes,
They were
You
very
cannot
dominant.
deny Pharaoh and Awakening as these amazing players.
I agree. And again, New York has kind of been like the conqueror of. I'm sorry. Dallas has been the conqueror or the thorn in the spot and the thorn in the back for the Mutineers, because they beat them twice there. They eliminated them from the Toronto home series, and so I agree. I tend to believe Mutineers are in a pretty good spot here. I'll go 3-1. I agree with you. All right, so that moves us down. Again, let's just move down to the losers bracket like I've kind of been doing here. So we've got Ultra versus Optic Gaming here at the top. Rex, what are your thoughts here?
I want to go with Ultra for this one. I think Ultra can win it 3-1. I want to say.
Interesting. Reasoning? Thoughts? Why?
I think Kleenex is an amazing player. I know I keep talking about him, but I think he really is one of the better players in the league.
Yeah.
And Optic, as we know, has not really had a strong showing so much. They added Hollow and Draza, who have been okay, definitely probably elevated the team a little bit, but they're not like your young guns like, Mac Melts, Kleenex, but like
They've had a lot of time to practice now to mesh as a squad.
they have had a lot of time, but Toronto Ultra, they are just one. And now
True, and they were coming
also
off
have
a
the
roster
same
change of
squad
their
they've been
own.
practicing with this whole time. So you have to assume
True.
Ultra has the advantage here. And they looked really, really good. They beat Faze.
Yeah. I
Did
mean,
you ever see Optic Gaming beating a Faze ever?
maybe if they were using a start glitch.
Yeah, only then.
However, we did see. Wait, was the 50-point club wasn't Toronto's homestand, was it?
No. Last time they played, it was a game 5.
Yeah.
It was 250 to 182 Ramaza, 6-4 on Ramaza or on Piccadilly, which Toronto won both of those. Then a close dom, a close hard point that Optic won on Hackney both times, and then Petro S&D was game 5. They lost 6, or Toronto won 6-4.
Yeah.
Ultra did 50-point club Optic though.
Yeah. So
On
I'm going to say
Hackney
Ultra,
hard point.
but I think it's going to be a 3-2. It's going to be a close game.
I can see it. I can go 3-2 Ultra.
Yeah.
So you're going Ultra?
I just
Dang.
but
I kind of
but
want to pick Optic.
with a 3-2 though, like that could I'm not surprised if Optic win at all.
I would pick a
I'm-
3-2 Optic.
I think me and Rex might.
But again, at the end of the day, Toronto
3-2
is a better
Ultra.
search and destroy team. But with more time, I think Optic could come out and surprise. I really think that. And again, this kind of comes down to the same argument where, like, at the end of the day, inside of champs, I'm more willing to give a tiebreaker to the veteran players that I trust, like Slasher and Kenny,
Mm-hmm.
versus a younger squad overall with Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, I mean, they have veteran players on that
Yeah.
team, like Classic and Methods.
Yep.
But you guys are both going 3-2.
They
Ultra,
literally
yeah.
just beat Faze, Josh. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yes, but in a tournament where I think they were cheating.
I mean,
We didn't say that.
So if we say that, we have to completely discredit Ultra because they were not good.
Not completely, because they look good in S&D. And they were clutching
look
up in
good in
S&Ds,
S&Ds.
where there was no start glitch.
Yeah.
So again, I think they're a competent team, and a 3-2 I think is pretty likely as well. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely very likely. So I'm totally fine with a 3-2. It makes sense. I just think that Optic could make a run. They could win this one if they've improved with the way I think they have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they could definitely make a run, but I'm not sure. They're a little tilted.
Yeah. So now we're in another interesting one here. We got Subliners versus London Royal Ravens here in the
Subliners.
loser side.
I could see a 3-0 Subliners.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going 3-1 Subliners, but yeah.
I don't know.
We have yet to pick a 3-0, right? Or did we pick up? No. Yeah, we haven't picked the 3-0 yet.
Yeah. I honestly think Subliners could destroy Ravens.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I feel like Subliners are like what the Ravens are, but just better.
Kind of.
Except in S&D. I would take London in S&D.
I would too. But
Hmm.
that's why I think 3-1.
I think 3-1 makes sense as well.
Okay.
I'm good with a 3-1. Right now we got a lot of we're not really picking any upsets for the most part.
We need some like 3-0s here, boys.
And yeah, 3-0s are just so hard to predict because like in any given matchup, it's like for the most part with how these are lining up, it's like you can really justify every team taking a map.
And the thing is a 3-0 could be a close 3-0 too. It could be like a
We've
250,
seen some really good
249.
teams who
Yeah.
got 3-0'd because they were really, really, really close to the series, but that's hard to predict.
I know. Oh, absolutely.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're moving on to the winners bracket here. Go back to the bracket here on the screen. All right, man. We got the kind of the two matchups everybody's
Man.
hoping to see.
Yeah.
We've got Faze versus the Huntsmen here next.
Ooh, man, that would be an exciting match. I hope it happens.
Oh, I know. I think everybody wants to see it happen. Again, I was kind of talking about this. Like this could have crazy viewership.
Mm-hmm.
This first, because it'll be hyped up. We'll have like a day, or how long will we have before this matchup? At least one day.
This is Saturday.
So yeah, we'll have like one day to hype it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll
And,
be
like,
able
that
to
could have-
prepare for each other, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, that could have crazy viewership. Like this could be like 300,000
Yeah.
viewers potentially. I could see it. All right. Anyway, thoughts here. Rex, lead the
3-1
way.
Faze.
Who you got?
3-1 Faze.
Man,
Sam.
I would have to go with Faze, but I don't know. Oh, man, every map's gonna be close.
Yeah. Very.
I
I could see Huntsman beating Faze. Honestly.
Oh, I definitely could too. I took a lot of crap when I was talking about the Huntsmen losing this match to Faze, and the Huntsmen, well, specifically losing later on in the tournament. But I don't know, man. I really believe in Faze. I think they're going to come out and look fantastic in this.
Here's the thing.
In this tournament.
Faze is not strategically they're not very good playing strategically. At least in their hard points, at least.
And Huntsman's SD has been on the up and up too.
But I mean,
and Huntsmen, if they get that first, this is like Huntsman's hype match, and we know when Scump is this is the big matches, like Scump can show up for a match like this.
100%.
This is legacy built. This is this will.
Okay, I saw a lot of Huntsman fans taking shots at Faze is young, but they have 2 CoD champions on their team.
Oh yeah, no, Faze is the real deal.
In a
here.
BZ and Simp, who were literally unbelievable all of champs last year on a massive stage with 5,000, 6,000 people there, however many people were at champs. They don't crack under pressure.
Yeah.
They play great CoD in a big moment. This is why we all think this is going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I agree it could go either way.
If Huntsmen win, it's a 3-2, and I think it's because Scump and Formal just decide to change form.
And they
even
clutch up in S&Ds.
Man, I don't know.
Because you have Envoy.
I just have so much more faith in Faze. They've been so much more consistent on the season.
Yeah. I would say Faze too.
But here's the thing. Huntsman has already played a match. No,
that is a factor. That's a factor.
And this is Faze's first series of the whole tournament.
I agree. It's a factor. It definitely is. But I think at the end of the day, in these really close series, there's an advantage. I'm surprised we haven't talked about this yet. The advantage of being the higher seed because you get to be the A team, which allows you better map vetoes and better map sides, throughout the series as a whole.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a significant, it's a measurable advantage to be the A side in a tournament.
Yeah.
Throughout the year, it's been coin flips. And so it's not really been a measurable statistic because it's just luck. But now it is an advantage and teams can plan for that and have a plan going in, a dead set plan on all right, we're team A, we know it.
Yeah.
And we're either going to play, Huntsman, very likely Huntsman, maybe New York, unlikely Rocker. So they're going to have a plan going in. Long story short to say, I think Faze is going to handle this 3-1.
All right, I can get 3-1 Faze.
It's going to be a close 3-1.
I mean, it could be a really competitive series. I don't expect this to be a blowout by any means. Yeah, I agree. And you'll come out of this thinking the Huntsman could easily make a run in the losers bracket.
Absolutely.
And make something happen. So, all right. I switched out that real quick. We got Empire Mutineers now in the winner side of things as well.
Man, this whole winners round 3 is just full of
it's
titans.
Stacked. It's stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen the Empire win 3 straight matchups now.
Yeah.
With the Mutineers.
I feel like I have more confidence in Empire.
I got 100% Empire as well. Empire 3-2, I think.
I would go 3-1.
I put a little more faith in Mutineers.
I believe the Mutineers have been a better Dom team on the season.
Yeah.
And it's if they steal a hard point, though, you've got to be a little nervous. I mean, it took a reverse sweep from Empire in the first matchup, in the first matchup to beat them. And they kind of got smoked in those first 2 maps. It was 250-127 on Gunrunner and then 6-1 on Arklov. Not easy.
And again, this will be Empire's first match of the tournament. So
yeah. So if someone had Mutineers beating Empire here, I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, veterans, they're the higher seed, so they're going to have the advantage when it comes to maps.
Yeah.
And I just believe them as a roster more on the season, consistent wise. Yeah. So I'll give it 3-1. 3-1, you good with that?
Let's do it.
3-1. All right.
Let's move down to the loser side of things. We got Huntsmen versus Toronto Ultra. Oh, boy. Rex, take us away.
Huntsmen.
Okay.
Yeah, Huntsmen.
Huntsmen will win it.
Sam?
I could see a 3-2 though, but Huntsmen taking both S&Ds and then
Toronto's been so good in S&D lately though.
I know, but I don't know.
In their last match, the Huntsmen were up 2-0. Then Hackney Dom, they lost a really close Hackney Dom. And then there was the disconnect on Petro.
Yeah.
They were, most Huntsman fans would say they had that in the bag, which, it was an early disconnect. Who knows?
Yeah.
It could have gone either way. It was a really, really close series. 250-228 Ramaza, 6-5 Gunrunner.
Yeah.
And that was really crazy.
I know.
And then you go to Dom. That was a 4-point game on Dom. And then the Piccadilly S&D was 6-4.
Yeah. I don't know. I could see it going all the way to Game 5. But then, like, I don't know. Again, like, I know you're saying, and I hear you with Ultra being really good in S&D, but
I think it's a tough matchup for the Huntsmen.
yeah.
And, like, but at the end of the day, I have so much more faith in the Huntsmen and Respawn. And, you know, Dom, maybe a toss-up. They haven't been as good in Dom.
Yeah.
But I still have more faith in the Huntsmen overall on all 3 maps in Dom.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
all right, 3-1?
Yeah.
3-1's fine, man.
Alrighty. And Mutineers Subliners right here, baby, is our last match here in this round. That's interesting. It's definitely interesting. Rex, are you still on this Subliners train?
No. Mutineers for this one.
Okay.
I think Mutineers are a stronger team. I think Subliners could have put up a fight. But we haven't had a 3-0 yet. So why don't I say Mutineers 3-0?
Oh, a close 3-0.
Oh, wow.
I'm on board.
A 3-0?
Yeah. Mutineers, bro.
I mean, I'm just surprised that you guys are on board with that. Because I would have been the one that would have said that out of anyone. I'm just surprised that you guys are.
It's bound to happen. 3-0 is bound to happen at some point.
I mean, that's kind of like our ticket into buying in that the Mutineers are still really, really good at COD.
Yeah.
I think the Mutineers are
Which I think
definitely
they are.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again,
And if Subliners get to this point, it means that they're not a good team. Like, not the team that I envisioned they were. So then that makes them kind of,
okay.
back
I mean,
down
we
now.
haven't picked a 3-0 yet, so why not? I mean, having a whole COD champs without a 3-0 would be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So, alrighty, here we go. That lines up our matchups here. We got Faze versus Empire in the winners finals and Huntsmen versus Mutineers. So we got the top 4 teams. I know, guys, we are so interesting. We're picking the top 4 teams. But at the end of the day, I mean, based off what we've seen all season long, this is undoubtedly the most likely outcome for champs.
Yeah.
And like, there's a reason why these 4 teams have been so good the past year, this whole season. And I think we expect more of the same when it comes to these 4 squads, which is why these matchups are so interesting. We have the inverse of the matchups we had before earlier on. Faze Empire, guys. Rex, who you got?
I'm picking Empire for this one. I think Empire are a smarter team, and I think Empire has, I bet all their practice, almost all of it, is surrounded about how are they going to beat Faze. So I think Empire has a really strong plan to beat Faze, and I'm just not too confident in Faze strategy-wise to be able to beat the Empire. So I have Empire. I think I want Empire to win 3-1.
Okay.
All right, Sam, where are you at with this? Because I'm definitely leaning Faze here. I would take Faze in a 3-2.
If it is a 3-2, it's Faze.
Mm-hmm.
Faze clutch up in a 3-2.
Yeah. But if it's going to be Empire, it's a 3-1. So it's like...
You think? I think Faze could win in a 3-1. It's not that crazy.
Empire is just that I feel like you have to think about how they're planning for each other, and Empire, you just have to imagine, has planned for Faze so much better than Faze has planned for them.
Maybe not.
Okay, let's talk about, like, we have like the veteran. You can make that veteran argument again too with Clay and Krim, like, and Hook even. You have Shotzi, who's legendary.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yes, I agree. But at the end of the day, like, the amount of faith I have in Faze to play this, to play well, my vote's Faze 3-2. Rex, your vote's Empire 3-1. Sam, tiebreaker.
Faze 3-2.
Well, right down the middle.
Just got...
Okay, all right.
Wait, you said Faze 3-2, I thought.
I said Faze 3-1.
Sorry. Faze 3-1.
Wait, I know. I did say Faze 3.
Yeah.
I'm dumb.
Yeah.
All right, Faze 3-2. Rex, you got voted. Sorry, man.
All right.
So that sends Faze to the grand finals. They're locking themselves in for what, 900,000?
Mm-hmm.
I think. All right, here we go. Florida versus the Huntsmen. Right here, baby.
See, this is where Huntsman's inconsistency starts to scare me. I can see them choking.
But like, this was so tough for me. In my personal predictions, I predicted Mutineers 3-2, but I could easily be convinced Huntsmen 3-2.
Yeah.
And like, is there a world where the Huntsmen are on a roll and they're really, really freaking good. And they just lost to a Faze team that was just feeling it, and like they come out and fry. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I 100% think that's an option.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going Mutineers for this one.
Dang.
I mean, I don't know if we really think Huntsmen are going to be that strong, then like possibly. Also depends how Awakening shows up. Like we have we don't really know how some of these guys play during champs for the Mutineers, but Mutineers are some confident players, I think, right now. I want to go with Mutineers 3-1, 3-2, maybe.
Dang. Yeah. I mean, Sam, are you hard set either way here?
I'm not, but I'm definitely leaning Mutineers.
It's just like we're putting our stock in Awakening. We're putting our stock in Skies and Pharaoh over the 4 Frosty and Havoc over the 4 COD champion players on the Huntsmen plus Envoy.
I know.
But if you just look at how they've been playing the game, like it just looks like Mutineers.
It gets the game better.
Yeah, Mutineers just understands the game better. The way they move, the way they do everything, it just looks
I know. I feels like people are underestimating them because they lost to Empire twice in Toronto. Yeah. Like we're really gonna
base everything off that
they lost twice to Empire. Like, I mean, I get it. They didn't, and like at the London home series, they lost to Empire, and then, I'm sorry, they at the London home series, they beat Optic game 5. Then they lost. They got upset by London at the London home series, and then they beat Optic again in a game 4, and then they lost to Empire in the semis.
Yeah.
So they basically the only team they haven't been able to beat is Empire at this point. And so does that make you believe in them more against the Huntsmen, less against the Huntsmen? It's tough. And like I have no problem with a team with somebody believing in the Huntsmen here. If you believe in the Huntsmen, I mean, you're gonna have them win this match for sure. But at the end of the day, I think we're all in agreement. I think we're gonna take Mutineers 3-2.
Yeah.
In a really close one. I would love to see the Huntsmen win because I mean that's just better for the COD League.
Yeah.
So if the Huntsmen win this, I mean the viewership for these last 2 matches would be crazy if the Huntsmen were in it, either of them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So for the COD League's sake, the Huntsmen winning this tournament would be the best thing ever.
Bracket run.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that lines up another rematch of the Empire versus Florida.
I'll tell you what.
Does Empire go for the freaking 5-peat?
It's hard.
5 straight.
It's hard to beat a team 5 times in a row.
It's hard to beat a team 5 times in a row. That's right. Rex, lead the way here, man. Are you calling for the 5 straight dubs?
That's tough because I don't like Empire. I don't think would have planned to be there with Florida, and so like how many strategies do they have to beat Florida? Florida has played them 5 times, lost 5 times. You would think Florida has learned.
You'd hope.
And Empire may not have anything else in their pocket to beat Florida.
Yeah. It would be the first rematch of the whole tournament.
Right. So, I mean...
And you'd have a whole week to prepare for this.
If Mutineers...
Or I guess not technically, because you have to win the match before. But I would imagine your coach is doing a little bit of prep if they know Empire, like for Empire and Faze. But you do have a lot of time to do some case studies.
Yeah. I mean, if Mutineers beat Huntsmen, then they might be riding a high, and they could beat the Empire.
See, this is where, so in my bracket I put out a while back, I had Empire beating them for a 5th time.
Wow.
But now, like after like sitting on it for a week, I mean, you're having to beat a team playing a lot of those, probably those same maps that you were going to play in that previous series. That is a hard ask.
Yeah.
That is a hard ask within a week span of doing that against one team. But I mean, again, they did do that in a week span. They played the Mutineers 3 times and beat them all 3 times.
Yeah.
So maybe there's just an X factor there. Maybe there is, and they just keep beating them. So I don't know. It is at this point. It is so hard to pick. Sam, I'm ranting at this point.
I'll start us out. Mutineers 3-2.
I want to go Empire 3-2.
It is so hard to beat a team
Really?
that many times in a
Oh,
row.
I have to be the one that decides now. Cool. I should have gone first.
You
Screw
should've.
you. Yeah. See, I feel like the
You gotta
Mutineers might
talk
have a
about
deeper. I
consistency.
feel like the Mutineers might have a deeper map pool.
So this
Then-
is like, we want to talk about consistency. This is the time when you want to make some crazy prediction. You don't want to do it versus Legion and Surge.
I know. I agree. That's
You
why I feel
gotta
like at
go
the end of the day,
Empire. This is the
word
time.
for face, word for word, I want to take the Empire 3-2.
Whoa.
A 5-time winner. So,
crazy
all right,
predictions are
that's what we're
earlier.
doing. Empire 3-2 right there, lining up a rematch of FaZe versus Empire from the winners finals. Again, this is the best of 9 series here. All right, guys, best of 9 series. FaZe starts up with a 1-0 lead. That's how that works.
Yep.
So FaZe starts out with a 1-0 lead. What's weird about this, I mean, I guess maybe you could say it makes sense. It goes like a normal series of 5,
Mhm.
and then it goes Dom, Hardpoint, S&D to round it off. So you have a normal series of 5, then Dom, Hardpoint, S&D, which is interesting. I mean, on the season, when you look at maps, FaZe has a way deeper map pool than Empire. Empire bans maps. They don't want to play maps. They're not good at a lot of maps.
Yep.
They're really good at some, not good at others. Rex, what's your prediction for the grand finals?
If FaZe get an extra map win, I mean, I honestly could see it being like 5-1, 5-2 FaZe.
Oh, just a dominant run?
Yeah.
Really?
If
On
it goes
replayed
to
maps?
this. I mean, I don't know. If Empire didn't beat FaZe the first time, I don't see them beating FaZe the second time in the grand finals. I mean, FaZe will just be hot, super hot.
I just like FaZe come out.
Especially Simp and Abiza.
So strong.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I would call it close, but I think I'm taking FaZe like 5-3.
5-3. I mean, that's going down to like the second to last map. I mean, I think that makes sense. Again, you look at that and you're like, all right, you look at the Doms, you look at the hard points. At the end of the day, I mean, in Dom, like think about this. In Dom, I mean, we don't really know how the vetoes work for this. We don't know if teams are banning a map and then you each ban one and then you play the rest, but then that wouldn't work for Dom.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you just don't do bans and you just pick, and that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
So like in Dom on the season, Empire is 7-5 on Gunrunner, 2-3 on Petro, and 15-3 on Hackney. So you'd imagine they take Hackney,
Yeah.
And but the problem is that their Hackney probably wouldn't be played until the game 6.
Yeah.
Because FaZe would be playing the Dom on game 3. And so you'd imagine, I mean, FaZe on the season is in Dom, it's 7-2 on Gunrunner, 6-2 on Petro, and 9-7 on Hackney. So they're just good on like really all the maps. They're solid. Their worst is Hackney on like win percentage. So you'd expect, at the end of the day, you expect Empire to take that Hackney. So you give them the map 6 in S&D. Now, what's interesting about S&D is Empire is 4-5 on Arklov, 11-5 on Gunrunner, 7-3 on Piccadilly, 1-2 on Ramaza, and 3-2 on Petro. So they don't want to play Petro or Ramaza much this season. I mean, they've been more willing to play Petro lately. But then they're only 4-5 on Arklov. And you don't want to play against FaZe on Arklov. No
You
chance.
would think so.
you don't want to play against FaZe on Petro.
Or Gunrunner.
Or Gunrunner.
Any
So,
map.
Because
I
FaZe
can
is
see
10-3 on
Ramaza
Arklov,
honestly being
10-2
bad.
on Gunrunner, 6-3 on Petro, 4-5 on Piccadilly, 0-2 on Ramaza. So they're both bad at Ramaza.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just don't think in a FaZe Dallas, either way, if Empire comes from winners and if FaZe comes from losers, I think FaZe wins it either way. It might have to go 9
Really?
games. It might have to go 9 games, but I think FaZe wins it either way.
I think whoever's in winners finals is probably going to win the championship as well.
Really?
They get that +1 map, dude. That's such a huge advantage.
I mean, yes, but I mean, we've seen teams come back from we have seen a team come back from a loser's normal final, like a winning 2 full series to win.
Right, but that's when I mean, yeah, I guess. But Empire and Faze, they're like not slouch teams. Like, I don't imagine either of them are just gonna be bad for some reason.
Yes, but at the end of the day, I
know?
think Faze's map pool just is such an advantage here. I'll go 5. I think I need to go 5-3 Faze.
5-3 Faze.
All right,
If they're coming from winners, I'm just covering my other side here. If Empire wins that winners final match and Faze rematches them, I'm still taking 5. I'm still taking Faze in a 5-4.
Okay,
that's all I gotta say.
Cool.
If Faze loses the Huntsmen, everyone's gonna. Please don't roast me.
Crazy.
Please don't roast me. All right, guys, this is the final bracket here. We have Faze winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Empire winning 3. Holy moly! There's the winning championship bracket right there. The $100,000 hot money bracket. Go copy it right now.
Right now.
Right now. But man, guys, this has been a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a long one. Sam is now holding his microphone. It came off.
I couldn't get it reattached. I'm so sorry.
But we hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Shoot us all of your opinions down below. Drop every comment you got, where we're wrong, where we're right, what you think is our stupidest take, what you think is our best take. We got to give a real quick opinion on MVP. If Faze are winning, who's the MVP? And if Faze doesn't win, who's your MVP of the tournament otherwise?
Simp or Shotzi?
Okay, so you're saying
Shotzi.
Okay, in your own personal prediction, who's winning champs?
Faze.
Okay.
Celium is going to be the...
Okay, and Rex has Empire. Rex has Empire Shotzi as his combo.
Faze Celium.
Sam has Faze Celium. I have Faze Simp. That is it, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Is there any real quick before we we'll have to teach us here? Is there one team that is your dark horse that you think might make it happen?
Subliners.
Optic. All right, boys. That is it for the best of 3 CoD Esports Podcast before Cut Champs. I'll be doing a watch party for the matches, trying to make something happen. I'm figuring out a way to do it. I might just have to show my face and then see what happens with that. Anyway, shout out for that. Shout out for following. Shout out for the likes. Shout out for the review. Shout out for the comments. We appreciate y'all. And guys, we will see you in the next episode. As always, I'm Josh SalvationsElite. That's Bash_Bo3. And that is Rex, Shady, Nero. And guys, we will see you next time. We out.